Hello there, traders. Hello there. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Paul's Monday Market Update, number 224 for the Monday, the 11th of May, 2026. I hope you're all well. Hope you've had a good weekend. Hope you are ready for another interesting and eventful week in markets. As always, that has been the story of 2026. Just a quick bit of housekeeping. This will be the last one for a couple of weeks. Okay, we'll be taking a 2-week break. I'm away and traveling, and we'll be back on Monday, 1st of June. For those of you joining us for the first time, the Monday Market Update is just that. It is me flying through as much as I can share with you in the next 30 odd minutes as we take a look at strength and weakness within the FX and indices and commodities markets, look at a few charts of interest, and then take a look at the live markets. It is not a signal service. It is not trade recommendations. It is just me sharing what I'm looking at, which may be of interest to you, and you might want to add it to your own watch list. As always, you are always very welcome here, but just remember that you are always responsible for your own trading decisions. And for those of you who need a little bit more discipline, accountability, and consistency and structure in your trading, you can join the VTP Trader Accountability Group. The tag is all about helping you build that discipline, accountability, and consistency. You can ping me on my mail, or you can use that QR code, or use the Bitly code if you want a few more details. Okay, here we go. So this is indices commodities chart. I've got Dow on the weekly, Nasdaq on the weekly, S&P 500 on the weekly, Russell on the weekly, FTSE on the weekly, Nikkei on the weekly, DAX, and then oil. Right, where's oil? Okay, oil is, West Texas is just trading under 100 there. Okay, not unsurprisingly, lots of swings on that weekly chart, and we're just under 100. And of course, the sort of rejection of the Iranian counter proposal, that's going to have an impact there. So let's see how that plays out. But I suppose, whereas that oil price is showing up all of the kind of geopolitical tension, you wouldn't be expecting that if you were looking at, there you go. Nasdaq closing weekly at all-time highs. S&P closing weekly all-time highs. Russell closing weekly all-time highs. Nikkei closing weekly on the all-time highs. Okay, and as I said, what we see is, I look at the Dow. The Dow for me is just basically coiling up there under the 50,000 level. Okay, it's just under there. Okay, it hasn't pushed to its highs like the others. It's coiling its way up there. Okay, so that's why you want to add to your watch list to see, whether it finally follows, okay, or whether this is just the kind of the laggard turns to the leader. In Europe, DAX is of interest because we popped away up, and I think I said this a couple of weeks. We're kind of above the weekly in the 20 and the 50, but I wouldn't exactly say that is in any way sort of inspiring. It doesn't really sort of, yes, we're holding above the 50, but it doesn't exactly make me sort of look at that in a way of, yep, I want to be a big buyer here. If anything, I look at this as a little bit like, we started the year with a bit of a double top, and now so far we are kind of forming a lower high. Is this an indication of us basically starting to kind of roll over? That's my kind of natural concern there. So, as price builds there, that's what I'm waiting to see. Can it give me any sense of what it really wants to do? Talking about sort of a little bit dreary performance. Well, the FTSE, which had a fantastic 2025, as you can see, fantastic 2025. Look at that, beautiful weekly chart like that. I say all the time, when you've got a great trend, don't fight it. All right, you want to ride it. But then what stopped it? That big bearish engulfing candle, the big bearish key reversal, and then we kind of popped the way up, but we formed that kind of lower high, and then look at us last week. All right, that's just a little bit of a, some might say that's a kind of a bit of a bearish pin bar, bearish rejection candle. Others might say it's a bit of a high wave candle because you've got good wicks either side. Some might want to call it a spinning top, but etc. Either way, it's not exactly wanting you to jump off there. And if you see how we started this week, well, as I said, you can see that Starmer's speech has not exactly sort of put a light under the FTSE performance, has it? It's kind of just sat there. And it wouldn't surprise me if we drifted our way back to sort of that 10,000 level for FTSE. That's what I'd be looking at there. quick look at some of the other commodities. Gold, you know, if I look at this on the weekly chart, the last couple of weeks, there are wicks there. Okay, so there is providing buying support, but equally, I'd also be saying, well, do you know what? We're in a little bit of that kind of little bit of a range there. Okay, I wouldn't exactly say it's terribly exciting. And when I go down to the daily chart, I find if I look at that 50 period moving average has rolled over, hasn't it? And it's acted as really fantastic. Okay, dynamic resistance there. Okay, we've had this kind of significant level here, all right, at 4,400, but classical TAs might say, well, actually, Paul, is this not a descending triangle that's building? Okay, and I know my drawing isn't great. As I say, I'm a better trader than I am an artist, but you get the gist, don't you? That 50 is it's starting to basically in control and push some price on gold lower. That's what I see there with gold. With silver's kind of been a little bit more interesting. We've kind of been pushing our way between that 70 and $80 level. But the daily chart, what we've actually started to see is back up to 80 and above, all right, pushing its way up there. That 4 hour chart there, okay, last week, bang, we pushed our way up, and now we're pivoting around that $80. And, as I said, to me, that is a war off risk on move, okay, because if there is a war off risk on, well, then invariably that would mean, demand for silver. Silver has industrial demand, and that would be what's driving that. Okay, so that's the way I would look at that there with silver. Bitcoin in the weekly chart. Okay, it's got above its weekly 20, having sort of coiled its way up here and pushed it away. Remember, we're kind of up at this level here, sort of 82,000. It looks better when we go onto the daily chart. Okay, and the daily chart, it's a stamp 2 Bravo. We coiled our way up here. You can see how the 50 has turned, and we've been actually for about the last 6 weeks. So, quite a nice uptrend, haven't we? Above its 20, above its 50. Now we're running into the 200, and so I start to look at, well, look at how that, even today, look at how that's happening. Is we're getting the 200 coming down, we're at the 80, we've got the 20 and the 50. Once again, is this just coiling up? Okay, the price and the moving average is coiling up before we either get a catalyst, all right, or for the next move, or literally everybody just sells away, sell in May and go away, because everybody's just had such a volatile first 5 months of the year. Everybody's just ready for a break, ready for a holiday. I know I am. So there you go. That's Bitcoin there. Okay, you might want to sort of, as I said, just watch and see how it reacts around that 80,000 level and the 200 period daily moving average.